All right, I think we are recording. Hey everybody, I'm joined here by Tien and John Sebastian, who are going to help me show off the CheckIt platform updated as of June the 3rd. We've got a new version of the dashboard compared to the last YouTube video I cut, and also this is a good opportunity to uh, just get us ready for the workshop we're going to be running next week for a few folks who are going to be authoring some new content for the CheckIt platform. So I keep saying the word CheckIt platform. So just to clarify what I mean when I say that is that there are two different apps involved in the CheckIt platform. The first one I'll talk about really quickly is the CheckIt viewer. That's at the public website at checkit.clonce.org is an app that runs in your browser. You can add it to your phone. The idea behind it is the public face of the official libraries that the CheckIt community has chosen to be on available to the public. And so you have differential equations in linear algebra, and part of what we're going to try and do is add calculus next week, or a good bit of calculus work will be done next week. And we'll be adding some new outcomes for linear algebra as well. The idea is that for every learning outcome, you have a canonical assessment of whether you know how to compute the solution set for a system of linear equations or a vector equation. And so here we have different linear equations and vector equations. You can see the answers to these. The solution set is apparently empty because it's an inconsistent system, as we see here. And this is the CheckIt website. The viewer app is really useful just to share. In fact, you can embed this on any other web page by using this embed code. You can paste this into your LMS or your blog or whatever, or you can just send them directly to this link, and it has a bunch of questions and answers that students can use for study purposes. There's 20 versions of those. You can also, as an instructor, there's about 300 versions on this public website that you could add to an assessment. You can even mix and match from different, for some reason you want to mix between differential equations and linear algebra, you could. You could go to this assessment builder, pick what order you want these learning outcomes to be, these exercises to appear in, and just hit that generate button. If you don't like it, you can keep hitting regenerate as much as you want. And then this gives you some LaTeX code that you can copy paste to your clipboard. Or if you're logged into Overleaf, that'll automatically build you a PDF based upon that this LaTeX output. I think that's pretty much it for the viewer side of things. Anything I forgot to mention so far, y'all think?
Do you want to talk about the Sage calculator that you can open when you view?
Yes, thank you very much. So on any learning outcome, or in the navigation up here, there's this code cell button. And this is a very handy calculator. It could do 2 + 2, but it could do a lot more than that. It can run code in any of the supported languages right here. So I could even take the derivative of x² + 4. And it's 2x, 2 times x, or I could show it and it looks even prettier. There's my 2x, right? So this is a very handy, in fact, I use this in certain problems, such as direction fields, to let them actually run a bit of SageMath code. They copy paste this into their code cell. They have to fix the fix me. This is supposed to be cosine of y/2. And then this would allow them to plot the slope field for that particular differential equation. Yeah, thank you for reminding me about that feature as well. This is something that's just baked into the app. This is really just the same thing as, if you're familiar with it, sagecell.sagemath.org. It's exactly the same thing, just conveniently in the same app. Any other killer features of the viewer that I should be sharing with folks right now? So this is all public. This is, there's 20 that appear, easily for everybody. But if you have the instructor features, which anybody can turn those on, there's about 300 versions of each problem. And so these assessments here, this is nice because it's a really quick way to generate an assessment But this is all, you wouldn't want to give this out as a take-home quiz, because students could look it up theoretically, perhaps. Maybe you want to generate your own versions, or more importantly, maybe you want to create your own questions, or amend a question. And so that's where the CheckIt viewer comes to an end, but the CheckIt dashboard comes into play. And so I have this link up here to the dashboard. It's actually a link to the documentation for the entire CheckIt platform, but it takes you down here to the dashboard specifically. Now the dashboard, one of the design philosophies of CheckIt is that I want these apps to be usable without a lot of hard work. You don't have to create. I don't even want people to have to create an account. I want these to be push button, ready to roll. And so if you just want to do something quick with the dashboard, you certainly could do this just by opening this CoCalc project right here, and then opening with one click that big green button. And notice I'm in incognito mode. I'm not logged into anything right now. This just sends me over to the cocalc.com application. And it's going to, remind me, maybe you should make an account. Maybe you should sign up. That way this stuff will actually get saved later. And I would certainly recommend you, if you're going to do this for more than just trying things out really quickly, I absolutely would encourage you to sign up and create an account. And then this welcome to CoCalc project would actually get saved to the share project. Now it would actually get saved to an account that you could log into and keep editing, because this will all get lost after I close the window as it is currently. Now I talked a whole lot, but I had to, because it takes a few seconds to get it booted up. Once you see that the shared content is opened, you can get to the dashboard file right here. That's kind of the key item. Now, it doesn't look like much to start with. This is just one thing you just have to do, because it's going to run some code. And we're going to run this code by hitting the run button. It's the quickest way, probably. And so once I hit that run button, you're going to see it thinking over here. You're going to see it thinking, up here as well. But eventually, you'll see selected bank directory, and you know that that's when the dashboard has booted up. And you're going to see that differential equations and that linear algebra, they come packaged in with the dashboard by default. There's also a demo bank, which is what I'm going to be editing today. So for this demo bank, I just select it. You can select any one of them. And I guess I should show this off real quick, is that if you just want a quick one-off example that's not necessarily on the website, well, it's not definitely on the website. These previews are always private exercises that are not part of the public versions that get sent out on that public website. And so you can just scroll down and get your pre-text source or your HTML source, your LaTeX source, whatever makes sense for you. You can just copy paste that into your, whatever you're building. Let's go back to the demo. So the demo has three different exercises by default. You can preview them as much as you want. I think the first thing I want to do is talk about, how do I make a new exercise? So first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to go to the files. I'm going to go into the banks right here. And I'm going to make a copy of the demo bank, make a duplicate. Demo bank, I want to call it demo bank 2. If I go back to my dashboard now, it doesn't show me the new demo bank, but this is a good time to remind you that if you ever want to rerun, I highly recommend restarting the kernel, just to be sure there's nothing cached anywhere weird. It's often not really necessary, but it's something I do just to be safe anyway. It doesn't take a whole lot after the first time to rerun the kernel and then rerun the code cell. And now we've got demo bank 2. It looks just the same. Well, let's make it look different. I'm going to go to my banks, I'm going to demo bank 2. Now the first thing I want to do, if I want to add a new exercise, is this is the manifest file. The description of the bank tells its title. This is demo bank 2 now. All right, I could change its homepage if I wanted, but what I really just want to do is take this last outcome. I'm going to make a duplicate of it. And I'm just going to make a really simple example today that says hello world. I'm going to have to call it something different. So I'll call it demo 4. Slug is just the name of the file, basically. It's also going to be part of the URL if it gets put on the CheckIt app, viewer app someday. And the description is like the description of your learning outcome that you want to assess with that exercise. You pretend it says the student will be able to, write equivalent matrices. I want this is going to be, the student will be able to say hello to the world. All right, whatever it is you're going to assess. I can go ahead and maybe zoom in on this a little bit, depending on folks' screens. I might make it a little bit easier for folks. So say hello to the world. And then if you want, you could tell it a section of the textbook. That's sometimes helpful. I'm going to actually get rid of that. So the quickest way is just to put a slash at the end of the alignment and don't put anything inside of it. So there's no alignment for this one for whatever reason. If I go back over here, it doesn't show it. So like I said, I could restart the kernel. So often you can just rerun it though. I'm going to try that. If I have any issues, I would rerun the kernel and then rerun it. But I see I have a hello world. If I try to preview it, it's going to yell at me pretty quickly here, I imagine. Yeah, it gave me some awful bugs because I didn't actually make the new thing, right? I just told it I wanted to write a hello world demo for. Well, now I have to actually, write those files. So to do that, I'll go to my outcomes. And I'm going ahead and copying demo 3 for this. So I'm going to duplicate demo 3 to be demo4.sage. There's two files, a Sage file and an XML file that I'll duplicate both of those. I'm going to do the XML file first. So usually that's the way I like to do it, is I want to describe how the exercise looks. Let me zoom in a bit. So there's some boilerplate up top here, which you can pretty much just leave copy pasted. There's a statement, and then there's an answer. So the statement is what shows up in the problem that you hand out to the student, whether it's through your LMS or through the CheckIt viewers generated PDF. The answer is what you want on the answer key, basically. And LMSs, it actually gets shown to the student after they submit in a few LMSs. And that's a feature because it lets them immediately know, of course, how they did after they've submitted their locked in answer. And this is, if you have a revision workflow, I find this very useful. What else needs to be done? So there's a lot of different P's and MEs and whatnot. Maybe for today, I'm going to point out, if we go back to the CheckIt viewer, go to the dashboard. I'm going to scroll back up here and then point out that I have some documentation. This is new as of 5 hours ago, on how to write a CheckIt template, which you can have, just going to the CheckIt Platform wiki, basically. You can see here the documentation we have on various things you can do. So that's at your disposal. I'm just going to, I find, when I'm writing stuff, it's easy just to, like when I learn LaTeX, right? You copy paste somebody else's LaTeX file and then you edit the content, and it's pretty straightforward. So the statement is going to be, I want the students to say hello world, right? So I'm just going to tell them to say hello. And the answer should just be hello. All right. And now that I've copied both the XML and that Sage file, I haven't edited that yet. We'll do that in a second, but I should be able to preview the exercise. And the nice thing about the dashboard is you don't have to rerun it every time. You do it, basically if something happens buggy, you might want to try rerunning the cell by hitting the run button. If that still doesn't fix it, restart the kernel, then rerun it. That almost always will fix it for you, unless there's actually a bug in what you wrote. So the question says, say hello. The answer is hello, but it's actually like an equation. If I go back over here, I see that this is a math equation. I probably wanted that to be a paragraph. So I'm going to fix that. Go back to my dashboard. Preview the exercise again. Oh, maybe I didn't let it save quickly enough. I'm going to try it one more time. It didn't hit save. Yeah, there it goes. So now it's showing up like a normal paragraph. What do y'all think? Have I missed any major beats so far?
So I was just gonna say, as part of my workflow, I just hit the save manually. before running it, just to make sure that the changes will go through.
Yeah, the nice thing about CoCalc is it does auto save things, but it does give you a way to hit that manual. It's sort of like a Google Doc that auto saves, but you can also, it's not, sometimes the caching takes a moment to catch up. So, like Tian said, just hit that green save button right up here. I can't right now because it's already saved. All right. Anything else before I talk about the generator side?
You might also want to add that the answer part is not a full solution. So really, it's just the answer to the problem.
Thank you. Yes. So by design, this answer is meant to be a final answer, not the full solution. Down the road, the plan is to offer a separate like solution sort of a thing where you write out like the full like step-by-step solution. This is not implemented at the moment for pedagogical reasons. Actually, it's we don't want full solutions that students are just going to copy and swap out numbers. So down the road, the thought is if we provide some way for authors to have alternate phrasings that are randomly chosen from. It's technically possible, but it's a huge pain to do at the moment. And so that's going to be a future feature that I expect down the road. So this answer is really just there, for two purposes. One, your answer key as the instructor to quickly go and mark up, responses. And secondly, especially with LMS workflows, if the student gets the answer immediately after they submit, it's the final answer. Even though I encourage students to write full solutions, everything that on the CheckIt viewer, the official libraries, almost all of them have the word explain because they want full answers, right? But just giving the student the final answer, that basically what you would need to check if it's right, but also that what they need to see if they have the right final answer. And if it's wrong, that covers 80% of mistakes that then the student can go back and fix on their own. And if you have a revision workflow, that's super important. So, okay, that's great. So the other thing, of course, there's no randomization here. What if I want the word to be random? Maybe not just say hello, but maybe there's other words I might want to consider to use. And so, first things first, there is a little bit of documentation on the so-called generators. You're basically writing code, so you can generate whatever random, data that you want it to generate. So this is the generator for a matrix problem. So there's a little bit going on here. It's gonna be a lot more simple for us because we just want it to return a random word. That's all I'm going to have. This bottom, so I should talk about first. This is Python. It's actually Sage math code, but if you've written Python, it's based on Python, so the syntax is very similar. The first line def generator, just leave it as it is. You have to have it there. The last few lines are always this return statement. You want to return what's called a dictionary of keys and values. And so I'm going to return the key is word. The value is the variable word that's going to be a random word. And so up here, I'm going to get rid of all this math. I'm just going to have a list of words that I might want the person to say. So world, hello, 10. All right, that's probably enough words. So we have 3 words. Now we want these to be randomized. So
Steve, you should probably zoom in a little bit.
thank you very much. This is why I wanted y'all to be here. Thank you so much for keeping me honest on this, making sure this is visible to folks. So the generator, again, you start out by just saying you're defining the generator. The last thing is it returns what's called a dictionary in Python language of keys and values. All right. The value is going to be a word, which I haven't defined yet. So what I want is the words. First of all, I don't want to pick them to be in the same order because I want to pick one. So the word is going to be a choice from the words. And so this is Sage math. And so if you want to learn about different ways of picking things randomly, you could Google Sage Math, but really what I recommend is just going through the examples. You have the demo bank, you have the differential equations in the linear algebra bank. And so if you want to know quickly how to do something, just take a peek at one of these other examples. Here's a generator. And if you just kind of play with the existing examples first, you could see here, let me zoom in. Here's probably the two randomizers. Actually, all three of them are here. That's great. Rand range picks a random number in the range, so at least one, but strictly less than 10. Choice picks a random selection from a list of choices, so either one or -1. And then shuffle, if you have a list, but you want to randomize what order things appear in, shuffle will randomize that list. So right now, lines is always line 1, line 2, but shuffle will randomly decide which one is first and which one is second, actually. All right, and then here, though, I just have a list of 3 words. It's not very random, but you can get more fancy with it, of course. I want my word to be a random choice from those words, and then the key doesn't have to match the name of the variable, random word, just to illustrate that. So, but this is going to be the key that I use in my template to get that random word spat out. So, follow Tian's advice and save manually. I'm going to go back to the dashboard. I'm going to preview the exercise. And of course, nothing's going to change because, well, one thing's going to change. You see down here, my data JSON has that dictionary. It has the word is the key, but world was the random word chosen from it. If I preview it again, okay, there's only 3 of them, so that had a 33% chance of happening. Let's see if I get this really unlucky. Hello, all right, another random word, great. Now, of course, the goal is to get this into my actual problem, right? So I'm gonna have to go back to my template. And so the idea is that I don't want it to always say hello, I want it to say the word. And this is where the mustache templating comes into play. So mustache, because these little curly braces look like sideways mustaches, right? So basically all you have to do is put in, with double curly braces, the key. So the key is the word, hello is the output. So that's what I want to spit out of my demo 4 exercise. So instead of hello, it should spit out the word. Preview that exercise. Okay, well, it still says hello because that's the random word that was chosen. This is not random enough. Let's make some more words. All right, oops, and that's my them, the force of habit from a different application. Okay, hit that save button. Go back here. Now I've got a lot more. I've got 1 out of 6 chance of getting hello again. Let's see how unlucky I am. Say apple. Apple. All right. So that's kind of that's the hello world. That's the place to get started. So from here, well, actually, let me just take a moment and ask my colleagues. Anything else you think I should mention at this stage?
Just a brief statement. You have mentioned some ways to randomize with rand range and shuffle and choice. Because I was writing a lot of stat stuff and probability values between 0 and 1, so not like integral values. I used uniform a lot as well. So there's more options, and there's probably more.
Yes. Oh, thank you very much. Right. So uh, I've done a lot of differential equations and linear algebra, and in both of those situations, I'm picking nice integer coefficient sorts of things. And so you're absolutely right. It does make sense to pick uh, real numbers or floats, in a certain range. And so this is one thing I really wanted to build with the CheckIt platform, is that you're using an honest to God programming language that has a lot of mathematics built in. Linear algebra is built into Sage Math. Yeah, you can, but it's also Python. So you can do anything you do with Python, anything you do with a programming language, you can use to generate your problem. So that is certainly in the realm of possibilities. Um, yeah, thank you for pointing that out. Anything else about just getting folks started with a very simple toy example of a first random exercise? So then the last thing I would mention here is that the other advantage of the dashboard, even if you're not going to author new things, I mean, you could tweak them. First of all, if you don't like the way the prompt is written, you can tweak the prompt without knowing a whole lot. You can go into just the template. If you'd rather say, instead of saying say, you want to say shout, you can just edit it directly once you're in the dashboard, and then preview the exercise. Now this won't change it on the viewer, on that checkit.const.org viewer. Oh, I forgot to hit save. Silly me. So I'm gonna click this one more time, and I bet it'll say shout instead of saying say. There we go. So it's a good habit to kind of go through and preview each of your exercises if you've been editing them. Make sure they still output the kinds of exercises that you like to see. But now it's time. Let's say I want to get this into my learning management system. Right now we support Canvas and recently D2L Brightspace. So I would want to make it non-public. Public is if you're trying to, if you want to get this included on the public CheckIt viewer, which is something if you're interested in, if you build a bank that you want to do that with, contact me. I'll be happy to talk to you about that. But if you're using this for personal use, you probably want this to be non-public. You can decide how many versions of each exercise you want. To make this run quickly, I'm going to only do 5 of each version. I'm going to click Build Bank Files. And so one thing that just a note while it's kind of going through, it shows me my progress, is this might run a little bit slower if you're just trying it out. This is a reason to get an account. And if you really like it, you might want to get, there are subscriptions to CoCalc. This is not to CheckIt. This is just CoCalc, because you're basically running a computer on their server that does this. So these are that's something that is available to you, but not necessary to use the CheckIt platform. So once you've built it, a current bug, unless they fixed it, I'm going to cross my fingers that they have not. These links don't work unless you right click and open them in a new tab. That's a bug I've asked them to fix. CoCalc, maybe they'll fix it someday, but this means it's a little bit slower to get to it. If you want to open it in a new tab, you can also just navigate through the files. You can go to banks, demo bank 2, builds, yada, 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 yada. But I think it might be slightly quicker to right click, open it in a new tab. See if I'm a liar. There it goes. It's thinking about it. Loading file list. Give it a beat to boot up. There we go. Close this other tab. And here we have it. So we have 4 different files. This JSON file is something that's used by the CheckIt viewer. As an individual instructor, you're probably interested in either Brightspace. If you want a question bank for Brightspace, you would just download that file. And then if you go into your quizzes in Brightspace, there's a place for you to import new questions. You just import the zip and you're good to go. For Canvas, it's a little bit trickier to find where to upload it in Canvas. I believe it's through the settings of your course. There's an import course content link in the settings of your course. But again, you just download that zip. There's also a place to import learning outcomes. So this is associated with the question bank. That might be useful for you as well. But these are the files that you can use to get your own personal version of these exercises into your learning management system. And then it's very easy to assign a quiz that takes a random one out of your bank and assigns it to each student. So each student has a different version of the problem, which is actually not that hard to grade because of the answer keys that get popped up with these randomized problems. You have the question and you have the answer right there, even though they're different questions, they're the same structure. And so as mathematicians or as math educators, we look at these broad strokes of the logic that they're using to solve the problem. The final answer is there to kind of quickly at a glance see if they got to the end result, and then you're just trying to make sure the steps, the explanation makes sense. And if the broad strokes are there but the answer is wrong, it's probably just a simple computational error along the way. And I think that's everything I had for this quick tutorial. Any other thoughts or questions from y'all? Anything you think the new folks would benefit to hear right now?
If you're not super familiar with Sage, and I was certainly doing things with probability distributions I wasn't comfortable with before. Google's pretty great. Most of the Googling directs me back to this.
Yeah, I'll pull that up.
Some page on that side. And yeah, so there's a lot of resources to help you do anything you're picturing in your head.
So this is the doc.sagemath.org. Yeah, so this is, this is a tour of Sage. I didn't even know the site existed. So I'm gonna have to add this to our documentation, I think. Remind me to do that after recording, because this will be a good thing to put in our generator. I'll add this to, let me find it, to this generator's documentation. It's a very short right now, but I'll definitely add the tour of Sage link there, because that's a good resource, it looks like, right here to get. Yeah, beautiful. One thing I guess I'll mention in this video right now is that figures are the big Achilles heel of the platform at the moment. We do not have support for those yet. There's certain technical reasons for that, but that's in the pipeline. Hopefully, in not too long, we'll have figure support as well. But for now, if your exercise requires a figure, the best workaround is to in the context of an online quiz where they could run a code cell, you could have them actually just show the plot in the code cell. You could send them to the CheckIt viewer app or to the Sage Cell server, but you can randomize the code that they need to copy paste into the code cell in order to create an image.
You should also mention that you have a link to code to embed an iframe.
Yeah. Yes, right. So if you want a code cell in your LMS, you don't want to send them out to a different web page. That is under the CheckIt viewer. So what we'll do is we'll go back here to the platform. The CheckIt viewers documentation has embedding CheckIt content into your LMS site blog. You can do individual outcomes. I probably should add it to the CheckIt viewer itself somewhere, but there is a way to get your code cell embedded into whatever website, including your LMS, that you would like. All right. Any other thoughts or questions that would help folks kind of get the ball rolling here? So thanks everyone for watching this video. Thank Jean-Sebastian and Tien for helping me make sure I don't forget anything important to get folks started here. If you're participating in the workshop that we're running next week, just a reminder that on Monday, we have 4 different sessions. There's a survey you should have gotten in your email. And so there's 4 different sessions that you can tell me that you're available for. I'm going to send out announcements probably later this afternoon. To folks who have already signed up on it, to which session that I'd prefer they go to. That way we just have some small groups. It's going to be the same conversation or same topics for each of the sessions. It's basically just a chance to say hello, meet a few other people who are getting into the platform for the first time. And if you need tech support, if you watch this video and you're still having trouble, that's on me. And that's why we're going to talk about this in person a bit on Monday. So I look forward to meeting more folks who may be interested in being part of this community then. All right. I think that's going to do it for the recording. So thank you all for watching.